was on failing. And basically what we wanted to do was ask this particular question. And when I asked myself this question, I thought, I've never failed. So I'm really incompetent. I'm not qualified on the subject matter. But as always, whenever I'm struggling, I go to my wife and my kids and I say to them, look, I have this challenge, I have this talk, it's about failures. Can you help me? And a couple of hours later, they came with a 27-page list of all of my failures. And trust me, they've never failed me. As a result of that, I shared the first draft with the TEDx organizers, and they said, sir, we have 15 minutes, not 15 hours. So please try to reduce your failures. And today, we're going to have to try to condense that into a talk. I think there'll be a few lessons here, but I wanted to ask you 3 questions at the beginning of this talk. And the first question I wanted to ask you was, if we can go back here, how many of you wish to be successful? By show of hands, please raise your right hand. Excellent. Very good. And I guess the next question is, how many of you have failed? Wow. Excellent. And the third question I have is, who is Pakistan's most successful failure? I guess I can raise both of my hands. Pakistan's most successful failure? I am indeed. And this is something which I've also wanted to learn and share with you, because most of you don't even know who the hell I am. So what is the big deal? And who am I? My name is Parvaiz. I happen to be a grandfather. I happen to be a social entrepreneur. I happen to be one of the founding members of a very large telecommunications company. I also happen to be the founding project director at Pakistan's National Incubation Center, which was globally recognized and award-winning facility. I also happen to be one of the founders of many other companies that are running different programs across universities. I've also had the opportunity to make lots of money, and I've also had the opportunity to do various things across different organizations. And as a result of that, I've had a lot of people oops. I guess when you're talking about failure, this is going to be exactly what's going to happen, right? So I've had the opportunity to have lots and lots of people help them in their lives. And as you can see here, a lot of people, rich and famous people, want to have their photographs taken with me. And as a result of that, we've seen that these people have actually increased their own personal value as well. So those of you who are students who are looking for jobs or who are looking to become successful, I would encourage you to have a picture taken with me. It'll increase your street credibility by at least 27%. In addition to these people, we've worked with prime ministers, presidents, and so on and so forth. And if this doesn't impress you, then there's a saying that money talks. And I'm happy to share with you that I was fortunate enough to create Pakistan's first $1 billion, yes, that's correct, US $1 billion company in Pakistan. So when you've made a lot of money and you've lost a lot of money, it teaches you a lot of lessons as well. And it wasn't always like this. What I wanted to share with you is that if you remember your own background, some of these lessons may be relevant to you as well. And for me, it wasn't always like this. Because what happened was, I failed. And along my life, I failed at school. I had the opportunity to fail. I didn't fit in. I also had the opportunity where I failed to keep my job, for example. I failed interviews. And I failed many other things as well. I failed to keep my job. I got fired from my job as well. And I also had the opportunity of failing in raising money for companies that I had to do. I also had the opportunity to fail for the company that I started as well. But the great thing is that what is failure? And this is the most critical and the most important lesson that I've learned in my life. And if you look at what the Oxford Dictionary says about failure, it's basically a lack of success. And what I'm here to share with you today is that the Oxford English Dictionary is incorrect. Failure is not a lack of success. This is completely wrong. And this is a lesson that I would like you to take away with you today, that this is my life's biggest lesson. And I would like to share this with you because I think it can make a significant impact and a difference in your life as well. Failure is not the opposite of success. This is something that we've been taught through our education system, through our social system, and so on and so forth. What it is actually is that failure is the mother of success. Failure is the prerequisite of success. You will never, ever, ever, ever be successful if you have not failed. And in this regard, I would like to help you in terms of learning how to fail. And it's not just me. You don't have to take my word for it. Thomas Edison, for example, he said he failed 1,000 times. If you look at J.K. Rowling, for example, she failed multiple times before she became famous. Colonel Sanders failed over 1,000 times. And there are many other people who have failed. If you look at Steve Jobs, for example, if you look at all of these other people who have made it really well and significant impact on people's life globally, they all had failed in something or else before they became successful. And as I said, in my opinion, failure is the mother of success. So you have to fail. And the beauty of this is that the sooner you fail, the better off you are. What I try to do in my life is learn from that experience and make failure my best friend. So today's lesson for you is using the F word: fail fast, fail frequently, and fail forward. And just to quantify this is, what do we mean by this? Fail fast means don't wait for perfection. Wherever you are, fail. Wherever you are, learn from that experience. Fail frequently. Ask yourselves every single day, I have a mantra that I want to fail 3 times. Just as we have meals, once at breakfast, once during the day, and once during the evening. Fail fast, fail frequently, and fail forward. So, in terms of my own failures, I wanted to share with you, I failed at passing an interview. When I was, after graduation, I applied for jobs. I got 40 rejection letters. They were very kind. They actually wrote me a very nice letter saying, thank you very much, but we will not be hiring you. But I learned from those experiences. And one particular experience I want to share with you was when I went to British Telecom in the UK, and they were hiring lots of engineers at the time. And I went there and I spoke to them, and they asked me questions. I did the test, the colorblind test, the engineering test, etc., passed all of them. And then there was a panel interview. And in that interview, they asked me certain questions, and I answered them honestly. And at the end, they said, thank you very much, but we will not be making you an offer. So, obviously, I was disappointed, but I took the opportunity to ask them why they would not make me an offer. And the lady at the panel, she was kind enough to say, Parvaiz, we heard what you said. You're very ambitious. You told us that you only want to work with us for 1 year, after which you want to start your own business. Because of you being a graduate, we have to invest in you for at least a year before we get anything in return. So therefore, we will not be able to make you an offer because we believe you will leave us within 1 year, which was true. Realizing this mistake, I went to do the same interview for the same company in a different city. And they asked the same test, colorblind test, technical test, same questions. And this time, because I had made the mistake, I learned from that mistake. I said, I'm hopeful to get this job. Once I get this job, I'm going to get married, I'm looking to buy a house, and I want to settle down. And they gave me the job. I was the perfect candidate. So, what was the lesson? The lesson was fail fast, fail frequently, and fail forward. In addition to that, I also had the opportunity to fail at one of the other large companies. Again, there was a lesson there that what you do, how you work with people, what the relationship is, this is very, very important. So another lesson here is in terms of keeping your job. Fail fast, fail forward, fail frequently, and fail forward. This is very, very critical, and this is the lesson that I would like you guys to learn. Another point was when I failed at Mobile Zone. We had an opportunity to sell Nokia phones. For those of you who remember Nokia, it was a very popular brand, and we were selling like hotcakes. Unfortunately, there was not a lot of margin, so the money wasn't really there. There was another brand called Samsung, and in Samsung, we were making a lot of money, but we were not the authorized distributors. So for 13 months, every single month, twice a month, I would go to Dubai to pitch to the gentleman who was a Korean gentleman at Samsung. And in 13 months, they never said yes. One day, I happened to be passing through one of the shopping malls, and there was a bookshop I like to read, and there was a book on how to do business in different cities around the world, or different countries around the world. And I picked up a book on how to do business in Korea. And when I read the book, I realized that I had been making all those mistakes. I was targeting a Western, European, American way of doing business, with the presentation, colorful statistics about Pakistan, 170 million people, young population, penetration of mobile phones, and so on and so forth. When I realized after reading this book, I basically went to the Korean gentleman. I asked him if he would like to have a cigarette. I asked him if he would like to have a meal. I took him out for dinner, and we signed Pakistan's $100 million business just for Samsung, because of the fact that I built that relationship by reading that book, by learning from my mistakes. So this was a very valuable lesson that I learned. Fail fast, fail frequently, fail forward. This is a very, very important lesson. So what I would like to do is teach you how to successfully fail. And in this, please, I would encourage you, reflect on some of the lessons that you will be able to get today. And to succeed, you have to be able to fail. And in this particular case, you must first learn how to fail. And in this process, you will ask yourself, why did I fail? Because you ask yourself these questions. Often, we have some, let's say, parents here as well. When a child starts to walk at 1 year old approximately, and the child stands up, doesn't start walking immediately. This child stands up and it falls. And then it stands up and then it falls. What do the parents say? If the parents were to say, you stupid kid, can't you even walk? How much of a motivation and encouragement would that be? In fact, the parents, they clap their hands and say, Shabash, well done, bete, well done, and they smile. And the child looks at them and he realizes that I've done something good. Even though they failed, because of that, they are celebrating the failure. They are supporting the child. They're encouraging the child to fail. And then, of course, we end up going to school, and that totally takes it out for us. How did I fail? We ask these questions, what went wrong? What can I learn from this particular lesson? How can I improve? These are certain questions that we would be asking ourselves. What will I do differently next time? So every time I failed, I question myself, what was it that went wrong? What could I have done better? Next time when I'm going to do this, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do this better? What will I be able to do differently next time? These are the certain questions that I would ask myself and try to learn. In addition to that, I would ask myself, why did this happen? Why did this happen to me? Often we ask ourselves, why didn't I get that job? Why didn't I, pass the interview? Why didn't I do this? And these are questions that you can all learn from. You can gain that particular experience from. Also, one second lesson I would like you to remember is that we all learn from other people. And we stand on the shoulders of giant failures. I've had the privilege of working with lots and lots of people who have failed and actually celebrated their failures. I remember a gentleman by the name of Ashar Aziz. He came to the National Incubation Center. Ashar Aziz, by the way, he's the founder of Sky Electric in Pakistan. But before that, he started a company in the US called FireEye. The US Department of Defense used FireEye as a cybersecurity platform to support themselves. He sold the company for hundreds of millions of dollars, and he came to Pakistan, and now he's doing half his life is spent in Pakistan. When he came to do a session for 2 hours, the first 45 minutes, all he did was he talked about failures. I failed this, I failed this, I failed this, I failed this. And through those failures, he learned to build and create billion-dollar companies. And there are many other people. So what I would encourage you to do is find these people. Who do you know in your family? Who do you know in your education institution? Who do you know in your community? Who do you know that has actually gone through this process? And try to learn from them. And one of the things I will say is that young people nowadays, because of the privilege and the attitude they have, they think they know it all. And I would encourage you to reach out to these people, because these are the people who have been through it. Share and celebrate your failures. This is something which is, I think, very, very important. Success. Albert Einstein, one of my favorite quotes, success is failure in progress. And this is something which will highlight this. So I would like to close by reminding you to fail fast, fail frequently. Are you ready? Fail forward. And remember that You only fail when you stop trying. This is my life lesson. I have this printed in my car. I have this printed in my house. And trust me, I have gone through life where it seemed hopeless. People have said no to me, not once, not twice, dozens of times, but never give up. You only fail when you stop trying. This is the life lesson that I've learned. So, are you guys going to say this with me? Ready? Fail fast, fail frequently, and fail forward. And at the end, I want to just say that while this may be the end of the presentation, failure is not the end. Thank you very much.